Hey, what's up? So, might not like me after this. You might go, she crazy. That ain't what I'm doing. That ain't that. I can't agree with that, and that's totally fine. But this has to be said, especially in our community, and it needs to. Give me just one moment. It needs to be acknowledged. So, I had a client. Just to give you the story, had a client and she had her son in Cumin, Brain Spring. He played soccer. He had music lessons, and they were doing something else. So that's 5 different activities. I think it was like a speech therapy or an occupational therapy or something like that. Because, like I've said before, all the therapists and ish tell you that they should be doing these things. All the stuff you read, and his condition was like, oh, all this stuff is going to be helpful. So she was doing everything at the same time that she felt would be helpful. Hey, Amy,
This
give me
has
one
to be
moment.
said, especially in
She did everything that they told her that she needed to do to help her son get to the next spot. And she couldn't figure out why she was tired and exhausted all the time. She couldn't figure out why he still really wasn't doing better. Like there were no major gains with him in education or with any of the behavior things that she was saying. She couldn't figure out why this was not working. And I told her, I said, because you're doing too much stuff. Like even in school, he wasn't feeling confident. And I said, he might not be feeling confident because he doesn't feel like he's enough. Another story, my youngest son, who has a diagnosis of ADHD, I read all the stuff. Now, like I have been through the special needs thing before, but trust me, when you get another kid with another diagnosis, you kind of revert back to that parent that's like, oh my God, what do I need to do next? And so he was in speech in school and out of school. So that's really 2 things. He was he had tutoring. He had like Lego League. He had, God, we had him in a sport. He was doing reading club in school. He was doing like a math pullout. And then he had this after school math thing like 2 or 3 days a week. And he was like, I'm not like, I don't like this. I don't, it always feels like I'm not doing something right. Like he would say, I always feel like I'm not doing something right. I don't feel like I'm doing something right. So this year, we took away everything except for the tutor, and now he's in fencing. The gains that we have seen have been huge. Even with my other 2 kids that are on the spectrum, when I took the 2 top therapies, chose the 2 top ones, and that's all we did, I began to see more life and gains out of them. You're killing your kids' self-esteem by putting them in multiple different modalities of therapy because a book told you that this was a good thing for them, because a therapist said, oh yeah, I can see them 3 times a week and that will be good. That will help him out. And they're going to tell you this stuff because they're getting paid to. And it's not to say that they don't care about your child, but let's be honest. Your child is a body on their role, whether it's an after school program geared toward kids that are having different issues, or whether it's a therapist that you're paying cold hard cash for. You have to have 3 things. And one is clarity. What is it that your child actually needs? Sometimes as parents of special needs kids, of superheroes, we don't trust in our own abilities to see, okay, he really doesn't need this right now. What he really needs is just to work on reading or just to work on behavior. That's it. And then we'll filter in things as those things begin to build. But what happens is that we get in this place where we're afraid that they're going to fall behind and that people are going to start judging us, when actually it's us judging ourselves. And so we put them in every type of therapy that we can get our hands on and that either our insurance covers or that we have the money to pay for. And then we end up stressed out. The kid ends up stressed out, because imagine if somebody, like imagine what that would feel if you would go to work and they would go, well, we would love to let you work on that report, but you need some more training. oh, we would need to do this, but you need some more training. And it's like, well, you hired me because you said I was capable. Why do I keep needing training? Like, what the heck is going on? Like, put yourself in their shoes, especially for kids that can speak up and advocate for themselves, how that feels when you are putting them into multiple therapies. I've even spoken to adults, and what made me switch is that I was speaking to an adult who was saying that her mom and dad put her in all these different therapies, that they were constantly in tutoring, they were constantly in these therapies, and how it just really ruined how they felt about what their abilities and what they could do, and that they were always second guessing themselves. And I'm like, oh my God, that totally makes sense. But as a parent, you're like, I need to give them everything. I need to give them all the stuff, all the things, so that they can grow, thrive, change. When in actuality, we're using the fire hydrant method versus the drippy faucet method. And you have to remember this when working with your kids, no matter what their ability is, that they will get more through watching. Even on the spectrum, they'll get more through watching. They'll get more from the one or two things that you see is working than you trying to give them all the things at once. And then you switch and ebb and flow as you need to. Feeling confident with your school to go, hey, he's not getting this. This is how much, we're not going to inundate him with pulling him out of class all the time. Which one do you guys really want to do? Because he's not doing all of them. You have the power as a part of your IEP team to say, look, I get you want to pull him out for all this, but it's really not doing any good. Because my son always felt like, why do I have to keep getting pulled out? Like, what is it? I keep missing my class time. And so that made him not feel as connected in school. So then he just was like, fuck it, I'm not really trying. Whereas this year, because he's not getting pulled out as much, he only gets pulled out once every 2 weeks, his reading has soared. We just have him working with the tutor and fencing. His reading has soared. Different things that we were like, oh my God, this is going to be such a struggle, have taken flight and soared. And I'm not saying for you to do the same thing, but what I want you to begin to do, if you have your children in multiple therapies or just anything like that, I want to invite you to step back and go, what is it at this holy instant that my child actually for really truly needs? What do they need? Get clear on that. Then evaluate what you can move, pull, what maybe you might need to stop doing it all, and then remove and adjust. Make those adjustments. I had a therapist tell us once, we were doing bioneural feedback, which one, no insurance company covers. Two, you couldn't pay for it at that time with your HSA. So it was strictly cash. And at the time we were doing that, we had the neurologist, we had pediatric, developmental pediatrician, we had occupational, we had speech. They were in school. We had ABA therapists come into the house. Like, we had all these things going on. And so I told the girl, I said, you know what? This is a lot for me to drive to Ann Arbor every day with 2 kids. At the time, it was the older 2 kids. I'm going to have to pull out of this. Like, I'm exhausted. She proceeds to tell me, well, you're going to basically stunt his growth in all of the work that we've done in this. And I have parents that drive from Ohio 4 times a week to come and do this. And at that moment, I'm like, well, F you. Like, how dare you tell me this as a parent? Like, okay, you're going to make your kid worse and you're not dedicated enough. Like, this is what I heard as a parent. You're going to make your child worse. And because you're not dedicated enough, I have parents that drive 2 hours to get to me. You, as much as your therapist loves you and as friendly as you all are, I want you to think, have any of them, if you're doing more than 3 things, have any of them said, hey, how is this working for your schedule? Are you mom feeling stressed out? Are you feeling stressed out by coming to all these sessions? They don't necessarily, and I get, because the kid is their priority and working with the child is their priority. But nobody really asks us as moms, as we're driving back and forth, how this is working out for us. So you have to look at also not only how this is working out for your child, but how this is working out for you, and not feeling guilty about taking them out of something because it's stressing you smooth the F out. You have to, and having clarity about what it is that you see your child needs. What do they actually need? Evaluate. Okay, so if they actually need this, then do I need to do these 4 different therapies, or can one thing give us pieces of all these other things? That's the other thing, is that I found out that fencing actually gives him pieces of all the other therapies. So it's like, so why keep doing everything else? Me cooking with him gives me pieces of the therapy. You'll begin to find things that you can incorporate and ingrain into your life versus needing to pull out and go someplace else. And then remove and adjust as appropriate. And a lot of these things don't take that much time that you may do on your own. So that's the things that I work with. And so I was able to help that mom narrow those things down and create a plan of what exactly do you want for your son to do? What exactly are you and your husband? What are some of the goals that you have? And he's old enough. What are some goals that he has for himself? And begin to pull those pieces out. Now she's only doing 2 things, and she throws in a third when she sees he needs extra support. But they're doing 2 things and they've seen gains. And for you, it may not be 2. For you, it might be 3 things that you guys absolutely have to do. But I implore you not to try to add on more than 3 different types of therapy for your kid. Like, not only is it exhausting you, but it gives them, whether they are verbal or not, it gives them the thing of, I'm not doing something right. I have to keep showing up at these places. I don't know why. I just want to spend time with my mom. I just want to spend time with my dad. I just want to be with the family. I don't want to keep feeling like an extra piece of work. And that's what kids tend to feel like when you have them in all this stuff. And trust me, nobody else on earth more than me can empathize and feel when you're like, to have that feeling to go, if I don't do all this stuff, then I'm ruining their lives. You are not ruining their lives. Remember, you got an IEP for a reason. Individualized education plan. That means your child has the privilege of being on their own track, that they do not have to follow the ebbs and flows of educational system, that they can create their own path. Use that shit for the superpower that it is, and stop trying to make them keep up with everyone else. That doesn't mean to let it go, let it flow, forget about it. That just means really stay in your lane with your child and what that looks like. And if something on that IEP is not in alignment with how you want to run things, get that adjusted. It's a team effort. And it's not about getting them up to grade level all the time. Like for my daughter, it was just about, okay, let's get her in the classroom without having an anxiety attack. It wasn't about the academics. From elementary and middle school, it was not about the academics. It was about getting her in a class without her melting down. That was it. Now, by the time she got to high school, because all we worked on was that social piece and the anxiety, she was like, oh my God, so independent because we'd given her the skills. And although she wasn't at grade level, she was able to be in that environment without needing support. And the teachers modified things to her understanding level. Her reading actually soared because I stopped working on academics in middle school and elementary school. When she got to high school, her reading soared. Things began to pick up quickly because I wasn't trying to put all the things in there to get all the things going in there. So I sincerely hope you hear me and that this was helpful. I seriously invite you to begin to evaluate what your kid is doing, how that's impacting them, and how it's impacting you, and adjusting and removing things as necessary, getting clear on that. If you need support, as you see, that's what I do, is I help you to get clarity on that and to create the voice to move some of those things around and tell some of those people, teacher things, no, we're good with this. We're going to do something else. But I highly suggest you go through this and you do this, because some of you have all of these therapies going on and you're overwhelmed and you don't see any time in your day because you're doing team too much and you're doing things that don't even really need to be done. I know they feel like they need to be done because you're going to feel like a bad parent. The therapists and teachers and ish are really good at low key making you feel like a bad parent for not doing this shit. But you're not. You're doing what's in the best interest of you and of your child. And if you aren't at your top space, you can't support your child to be at theirs. So sincerely hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, comments, ahas, what you talking about, Willis, pop them down in the comment section below. I'm here. I'll answer. I'm here to help you co-create, not support you, because this ain't no AA meeting. I'm here to help you co-create the life and the integration that you want to create for your special family without you having more overwhelm in your life. Like, that's it. That's the gag. And you are totally worthy, and you can do this no matter what is going on in your child's world. So remember, love yourself, love your family, love your business, love your life, and I will see you later. Bye.